The Harpo Studios parking lot buzzed with an electricity that hadn't been felt since the heyday of appointment television. News vans lined the street like metal vultures, their satellite dishes reaching toward a cloudless Chicago sky. Social media had been counting down for weeks, #Oprah's final episode. The hashtag had generated over 50 million posts in the past 24 hours alone. Inside the iconic studio, the same burgundy and gold set that had hosted presidents and papas alike gleamed under the hot television lights. But tonight felt different. The audience, hand-selected from a pool of over 2 million applicants, sat with the kind of anticipation usually reserved for championship finals or royal weddings. They knew they were witnessing history. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. In the control room, Marcus Liel adjusted his Hermes tie and studied the bank of monitors with the cold precision of a chess master. At 38, he had transformed from a small-town nobody into the most powerful behind-the-scenes player in television. His angular face reflected the glow of the screens as he spoke into his headset. "Camera 3, I want you tight on Tom's hands when he sits down. People read nervousness through fingers." His voice carried the authority of someone who had orchestrated 1,000 intimate betrayals for public consumption. "Camera 1, stay wide on Oprah's entrance. This is mythology in the making." A production assistant scurried past with last-minute notes. Marcus caught her arm. "Remember, whatever happens tonight, we keep rolling. Technical difficulties don't exist. Commercials can wait. The only thing that matters is capturing every moment of truth." Backstage, Tom Cruise stood before a mirror, but for once his famous smile seemed painted on. At 63, he remained Hollywood's most enigmatic figure, equal part beloved icon and conspiracy theorists' dream. Tonight, though, something was different. His unusually perfect posture carried a subtle tension, like a panther sensing a trap. A knock interrupted his thoughts. "Mr. Cruise, 5 minutes." He straightened his shoulders and summoned that megawatt smile. Whatever Oprah had planned, he'd survived worse. Hadn't he? The studio audience erupted as the familiar opening notes of Oprah's theme music filled the air. Oprah emerged from the wings like a queen taking her throne for the final time, her burgundy dress flowing behind her. At 71, Oprah Winfrey remained television royalty, but tonight there was something sharper in her eyes. The look of someone who had one last game to play. "Welcome," she began, her voice carrying that distinctive blend of warmth and authority that had defined a generation's afternoon television, "to what will be my final broadcast." The audience rose as one, their applause thunderous and sustained. Oprah raised her hand gently, and they sat as if controlled by an invisible conductor. For 37 years, this stage has been home to conversations that mattered. We've laughed together, cried together, and discovered truths that changed lives. Her eyes found the main camera, and through it, the 40 million viewers watching live around the world. Tonight, I want to have one last conversation that matters, with someone who has been as much a part of American culture as he has been a mystery. The audience's energy shifted, anticipation crackling through the air like electricity before a storm. "Ladies and gentlemen, Tom Cruise." The applause was deafening as Tom emerged from the wings, his famous grin blazing under the lights. He moved with that characteristic energy that had defined him for 4 decades, part athlete, part movie star, all charisma. But Marcus, watching from his control room perch, noticed what the audience couldn't see: the way Tom's eyes swept the crowd, counting exits, cataloging faces. This was a man expecting ambush. Tom embraced Oprah with practiced warmth, the kind of Hollywood hug that photographed beautifully but revealed nothing. As they separated, their eyes met for a fraction of a second, and something passed between them. Recognition, perhaps, that tonight would be different from their previous encounters. "Tom Cruise, everyone!" Oprah gestured to the audience, who obliged with another thunderous ovation. Tom waved, that smile, never wavering, but Marcus noticed how his free hand remained clenched at his side. As they took their seats, Oprah in her legendary chair, Tom on the guest sofa, the studio fell into that perfect silence that only live television could create. 40 million people around the world leaned forward. "Tom, I have to tell you," Oprah began, settling into her chair with the grace of someone who had conducted over 37,000 interviews. "I've been thinking about this conversation for months. You've been such a fascinating figure in American culture, beloved, scrutinized, celebrated, questioned. How do you process being both an icon and an enigma?" Tom's laugh came easily, that practiced Hollywood charm on full display. "Well, Oprah, I think when you've been doing this as long as I have, you learn that people are going to see what they want to see. My job is just to keep doing what I love, making movies, telling stories, hopefully entertaining people." The audience murmured appreciatively, but Oprah's smile carried an edge that hadn't been there moments before. "But it's more than that, isn't it? I mean, you're not just an entertainer. You're an influencer of culture, of conversations. Your 2005 appearance on this very show," she gestured around the familiar set, "that became cultural shorthand for a passion, for authenticity. Do you ever feel the weight of that kind of influence?" Tom shifted slightly in his seat, the movement so subtle only the trained eyes in the control room caught it. Marcus leaned forward, whispering into his headset. "Camera 2, stay tight on his face. He's processing." "I think," Tom said carefully, "when you're genuine about your feelings, when you're not afraid to show emotion, people respond to that. That day, with Katie, I was just happy. Sometimes I think we've forgotten how to celebrate happiness without analyzing it to death." "Interesting that you bring up analysis." Oprah's voice maintained its warmth, but there was something surgical about her word choice now. "Because so much of your life has been analyzed, hasn't it? Your career choices, your personal relationships, your spiritual beliefs." The studio grew quieter. Tom's smile remained, but Marcus noticed his breathing had changed, shallower, more controlled. "I've been blessed to live a life I'm passionate about," Tom replied. "Not everyone understands every choice I've made, and that's okay. I'm at peace with who I am." "Are you?" The question hung in the air like smoke from a fired gun. "Because I've been doing this for a long time, Tom, and I've learned to read between the lines. I've had the privilege of speaking with many public figures who faced intense scrutiny, and there's often a cost that the public doesn't see." Oprah reached for a tablet beside her chair, her movements deliberate and practiced. On the control room monitors, Marcus watched Tom's eyes track the device. "I want to show you something," Oprah continued. "A clip from an interview you did in 2019. You probably don't remember it. It was a small press junket, nothing major." The main screen behind them flickered to life. Tom appeared, looking directly into camera, but this wasn't the polished superstar the world knew. His eyes were tired, almost hollow, and when he spoke about the price of perfection, his voice carried a vulnerability that was rarely seen. As the clip played, the studio audience watched in rapt attention, but Tom's focus was elsewhere. His eyes had found the control room window, where Marcus sat orchestrating this moment like a conductor leading a symphony of exposure. "That man in the video," Oprah said as the clip ended, "seems to be carrying something heavy. Do you remember that interview?" "I remember being tired that day." Tom's response was measured, but there was steel beneath the words now. It had been a long tour, lots of interviews. Sometimes the mask slips." Oprah's interruption was gentle, but pointed. "I don't mean that as criticism, Tom. God knows we all wear masks, but I'm curious about what's behind yours." In the control room, Marcus smiled. This was exactly the kind of moment that generated clips, commentary, and, most importantly, ratings that justified his increasingly aggressive tactics. Tom leaned forward slightly, and for a moment the practiced charm flickered. "Oprah, I came here tonight expecting to talk about my career, maybe share some memories. Are we having a different conversation?" "Are we?" she asked, matching his lean with her own. "Because I have to tell you, Tom, I've been in this business long enough to know when someone's avoiding the real questions. And lately, there have been some very real questions about you. The audience collectively held its breath. On social media, hashtag Oprah and Tom was already trending, with viewers posting real-time reactions. Is Oprah going full journalist right now? Tom looks like he wants to run. This is not the feel-good finale we expected. What kind of questions? Tom's voice remained level, but his posture had changed completely. Gone was the relaxed movie star. In his place sat a man ready for battle. Oprah smiled, but it was the smile of a shark scenting blood in the water. Well, that's where things get interesting. She reached for a manila folder that had been discreetly placed beside her chair, its contents hidden but clearly substantial. Tom, do you know what the Athena Protocol is? The studio fell silent. Tom's face went completely blank. Not confused, not curious, but carefully, deliberately neutral in a way that spoke volumes. Marcus whispered into his headset. Every camera on him, this is the moment. The silence stretched for exactly 4 seconds, an eternity in television time. Tom Cruise, the man who had jumped on this very couch nearly 2 decades ago in an explosion of unfiltered joy, sat perfectly still. His eyes never left Oprah's face, but something fundamental had shifted. The game, whatever it had been, was now something else entirely. I'm not sure what you're referring to, Oprah. His voice carried that same measured tone, but the temperature in the studio seemed to drop several degrees. Oprah opened the manila folder with deliberate slowness, her movements choreographed for maximum impact. Inside were documents, official-looking papers with government letterheads, financial records, and what appeared to be communication transcripts. The Athena Protocol, she continued, her voice taking on the cadence of an investigative journalist rather than a talk show host, is a consulting firm that specializes in what they call narrative architecture for public figures. Very exclusive client list, very expensive services, and according to these documents, she lifted a paper from the folder, very connected to your private foundation. The audience began to murmur, phones discreetly emerging as viewers started recording this unexpected turn. In the control room, Marcus was in his element, directing cameras with the precision of a military operation. Camera 4, get the audience reaction. Camera 1, stay wide on both of them. Camera 3, I want to see Tom's hands. Tom's famous smile had completely disappeared now, replaced by something harder, more calculating. Oprah, I run a charitable foundation that supports literacy programs and disaster relief. I'm not sure what you're suggesting, but what I'm suggesting, Oprah interrupted, sliding the folder across the coffee table between them, is that according to these documents, your foundation has been funneling money through Athena Protocol to influence political conversations about artificial intelligence regulation, social media policy, and celebrity privacy laws. The studio erupted in gasps and whispered conversations. On social media, hashtag Athena Protocol began trending alongside hashtag Tom Cruise and hashtag Oprah's final episode. News outlets started preparing breaking news alerts. Tom stared at the folder for a long moment without touching it, his face a mask of controlled fury. When he finally looked up, his eyes had the intensity that had made him a movie star and now made him dangerous. So this is what this is about. His voice was quiet, but it carried to every corner of the studio. This whole evening, this celebration of our friendship, this was an ambush? This is journalism, Tom, Tom's response was immediate and unflinching. Something I should have done more of, perhaps, over the years. These documents suggest a pattern of using charitable giving as a front for political influence, the kind of influence that shapes how the public thinks about privacy, about truth, about the very nature of celebrity culture. And where exactly did you get these documents? Tom's question was sharp as a blade. Because if I'm not mistaken, private financial records require a whistleblower. Oprah's interruption landed like a thunderbolt. Someone from your inner circle who was concerned about what they saw. Someone who felt the public deserved to know how celebrity influence really works in America. For the first time since sitting down, Tom Cruise looked genuinely shaken. His eyes darted toward the wings of the stage, as if calculating escape routes, before returning to Oprah with laser focus. You want to know about truth, Oprah? He leaned forward now, no longer the defensive target, but a predator finding his footing. The audience sensed the shift immediately. This was no longer an interview, but a confrontation between two of the most powerful figures in American media. Let's talk about truth. Tom's voice carried a new energy now, the intensity that had defined his most memorable screen moments. Let's talk about how every question you've asked tonight has been designed not to seek truth, but to create a specific narrative. Let's talk about how this final episode was never about celebrating your legacy, it was about destroying mine. Oprah's composure never wavered, but something flickered in her eyes, surprise, perhaps, that he was fighting back. The truth, she said evenly, is what's in those documents. Financial records don't lie, bank transfers don't lie. The pattern of payments from your foundation to Athena Protocol and from Athena Protocol to political consulting firms, lobbying groups, and media manipulation companies, that's not narrative, that's evidence. Tom reached for the folder finally, his movements sharp and decisive. He flipped it open and scanned the first few pages, his expression growing darker with each line he read.
You know what's interesting about evidence, Oprah? He closed the folder with a snap that echoed through the silent studio. It can be manufactured. Documents can be altered, and sometimes, his smile returned, but it was nothing like the charm the world knew. Sometimes the person presenting the evidence has more to hide than the person being accused. In the control room, Marcus felt a chill of anticipation. This was spiraling beyond even his most optimistic projections. "What are you saying, Tom?" Oprah's voice remained steady, but for the first time that evening, she sounded like she might not be in complete control. Tom Cruise stood up suddenly, the movement so sharp and unexpected that several audience members gasped. He towered over Oprah's chair, his presence filling the stage in a way that seemed to make the studio itself smaller. "I'm saying," he began, his voice carrying to every corner of the building and to the 40 million people watching around the world, that if you want to talk about manipulation, if you want to discuss secret protocols and hidden influences, then let's have that conversation. He reached into his jacket pocket and withdrew a small device, a flash drive. But let's make sure we're talking about everyone's secrets, not just mine. The studio held its collective breath as Tom Cruise held up the drive, his eyes never leaving Oprah's face. Because the truth, Oprah, is that I didn't come here unprepared either. The war was about to begin. Tom inserted the flash drive into a port hidden beneath the coffee table, his movements precise and practiced. The main screen behind them flickered to life, and suddenly the control room's carefully orchestrated narrative began to crumble. You want to talk about manipulation, Oprah? Let's talk about your partnerships with Synapse Media, the company that uses emotional AI to enhance guest reactions in post-production. Tom's voice carried the authority of someone who had finally decided to burn bridges. Let's talk about how your authentic moments are algorithmically optimized for maximum emotional impact. The footage began playing, behind-the-scenes clips of Oprah's recent interviews, but with a technical overlay showing emotional response curves being artificially heightened. A guest's tears, digitally enhanced, gasps of surprise, amplified in post-production. The sacred authenticity of the Oprah brand revealed as carefully manufactured content. The audience erupted in shocked murmurs. On social media, #ManufacturedTruth began trending alongside the existing hashtags. News anchors across networks scrambled to verify what they were witnessing. Oprah's composure cracked for the first time that evening. "Tom, this is what actual evidence looks like," he interrupted, his voice cutting through her protest like a surgical blade. "Bank records showing payments to Synapse Media, email chains discussing emotional optimization protocols, your production team referring to guests as content delivery systems." In the control room, Marcus was experiencing something he'd never felt before: loss of control. His carefully orchestrated ambush had become a mutual destruction scenario, and the ratings were climbing to unprecedented heights. "Camera 5, get Oprah's reaction. Camera 2, stay on the screen. This is television history," he whispered into his headset, his voice mixing excitement with growing dread. Tom continued his assault, pulling up financial documents that painted Oprah's media empire as part of a broader network of influence peddling. Athena Protocol? They're small time compared to what you've built. At least I was trying to influence policy. You've been manipulating human emotion for profit. The studio had become electric with tension, the audience no longer passive observers, but active participants in a media earthquake. Phones were recording everything, social media exploding with real-time commentary, and traditional news outlets preparing special reports. "So tell me, Oprah," his smile returned, but now it was the predator's grin. "Who's really destroying American authenticity here?" The studio erupted in chaos. Audience members turned on each other, choosing sides in real time as #Team Tom and Team Oprah exploded across social media. In the front row, tech blogger Jara Chen live-streamed to her followers. "They're both admitting to manipulation, but you're fighting about which manipulation you prefer." A middle-aged couple argued bitterly, their marriage fracturing along celebrity loyalty lines. College students held up phones, streaming commentary, while older viewers grew increasingly agitated. 3 rows back, an older woman pointed accusingly at Tom. "You can't attack Oprah!" A younger man shot back. "Wake up! She's been lying for decades!" Marcus watched from the control room with excitement and horror. Multiple cameras captured heated exchanges throughout the audience. "Security, stand by," he ordered, then countermanded, "Actually, let it play out. Keep rolling." On social media, the battle had gone viral. #Team Tom and #Team Oprah generated hundreds of posts per minute. News anchors interrupted programming for live coverage of the most explosive television moment since Nixon. Back on stage, Tom and Oprah watched their audience self-destruct. This wasn't journalism or entertainment anymore. It was something primal and dangerous. The show had become a mirror, and America didn't like what it saw. In a converted supply closet, intern Danny Rodriguez discovered files that made his hands shake. Tom breakdown scenario A.docs, Oprah emotional triggers.xls, audience plant positions.pdf. Every spontaneous moment had been scripted, predicted, orchestrated like a military operation. Danny's phone trembled as he recorded the screen. Real-time emotion tracking of audience members through facial recognition, targeted social media bot networks amplifying hashtags, even the whistleblower documents fabricated by Marcus's team. The worst discovery? Live data sales. Contracts with political firms, foreign media outlets, emotion tracking companies, all paying premium prices for real-time audience reaction data. Marcus wasn't creating television, he was harvesting human emotions and selling them. Danny uploaded everything to a secure cloud account, racing against time. Footsteps approached. The door handle turned. "Hey, kid, what are you—" Marcus Vale stepped inside, his expensive suit incongruous against the utilitarian shelving. His eyes found Danny's phone screen showing the upload progress, 78%. "This is unfortunate," he said coldly. "Security appeared, but the upload hit 100%. Whatever happened next, the truth was already floating in the digital cloud, waiting to rain down on the entire operation." Danny smiled as security reached for him. Sometimes David really could bring down Goliath.
Tom saw couples arguing, friends divided, families choosing sides in a manufactured war. Something softened in his expression, genuine recognition of harm caused. "You're right. This isn't what I wanted." Oprah addressed the audience directly. "We need to stop the cameras and have a real conversation about what's happening." Marcus frantically spoke into his headset. "Keep rolling. This is content gold." But something had shifted. Tom joined Oprah at stage's edge, both looking at the control room where Marcus orchestrated their destruction. "I think we're both being played," Tom said, his voice authentically human now. "The timing, the documents, this whole evening." Oprah trailed off, pieces falling into place. "Someone wanted this war," Tom continued. "Someone needed us to destroy each other publicly." "Marcus Vale," Oprah said quietly, the name carry across the silent studio like judgment. The main screen flickered without warning. Instead of commercial break, Danny's leaked footage filled the display. Marcus's computer screen showing the evening's real script. The audience gasped, seeing their reactions predicted, cataloged, mapped like psychological experiment data points. "What you're watching isn't journalism or entertainment," Danny's voice announced through the audio system. "It's orchestrated manipulation designed to harvest your emotional reactions for profit." Email threads revealed everything. Foreign companies buying American emotional data, political firms using reactions to test messaging, tech companies training AI on human emotional patterns. They hadn't been audience members, they'd been test subjects. Marcus burst through doors, disheveled and panicked. "This is fabricated, industrial sabotage." "Like your fabricated documents about Tom," Oprah's voice carried full authority, "like selling audience reactions to foreign governments?" Tom stepped forward, that predatory grin returning. "How much did you make selling Chinese media companies footage of Americans destroying each other over celebrity gossip?" Social media exploded as leaked footage spread worldwide. Hashtag system crash and media manipulation trended globally. In the audience, factions dissolved as people realized they'd all been conned. Marcus grabbed a microphone desperately. "This is performance art, meta-commentary." Too late. Security escorted him out as the audience laughed, genuine, slightly hysterical laughter of people who had been magnificently conned. Tom and Oprah exchanged genuine smiles for the first time that evening. Well, this wasn't the final episode I planned. Up next, we have 2 more incredible stories that are waiting for you. Just click the image you want to watch and it'll take you there. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe. It would mean a lot.